What's up, guys? Skippy Africanus here, and welcome back to another Cartridge of the Week episode, this week featuring a very oddball round. The so-designated M22 30-06 Frangible Trainer Round. So now, before we get into the cartridge's history, usage, and all that stuff, we always do, and take a look at the head stamp. Which on the top, you can see LC, which stands for where it was manufactured, Lake City. On the bottom reads 45, standing for the year of manufacture, 1945. Which, as far as that 45 date goes, that would also tell us that the T44 designation on this label is actually wrong, because they would designate it at the M22 in very early 1945. So now, as mentioned before, this round is a trainer round. However, it's not just for your standard run-of-the-mill rifle or machine gun practice. This round was used by fighter pilots as well as bomber crews to shoot at flying targets being flown by actual people. The idea for the cartridge came from Major Cameron Fairchild in 1942 and was intended to provide pilots with the most realistic training to better prepare them for what they would encounter when they would be thrown into combat. And thrown into combat, mind you, against countries that already had plenty of experience in air-to-air combat. Development of the cartridge began in 1942 with Fairchild working with professors at Duke University to first design the cartridge to be used. And the original idea was to actually make the bullet from glass. However, eventually they would arrive with the 50-50 Bakelite lead powder ratio bullet. Now, creating the munition was the first part. The second part would be getting an appropriate target that wouldn't get shot down, as keep in mind, though these are frangible trainers, they still need to be fairly potent in order to actually hit the target. They would choose the P-63 as their main target plane, given they had a bunch just, laying around, and it was the closest thing they had that resembled the commonly seen German Bf-109. They would remove all guns from the plane and armor it up significantly. Now, they would also add sensors throughout the body of the plane, as well as a flashing red light at the front that would blink to signify hits. And there also did exist a counter inside the cockpit that would tell the instructor piloting the aircraft the number of hits that were actually made. And by 1944, both the munition and the planes were ready to go, and pilots would begin their much more realistic training. This is where the T44 designation for the cartridges comes from. However, as mentioned, in early 1945, that designation would change to M22. Now, we mentioned before that these are still some pretty potent rounds, and there were instances of these target planes, despite all the armor, still getting shot down. So over time, they would end up adding more armor to the planes whenever a weakness was exposed. Now, though a great idea, it wouldn't last with the end of World War II, spelling out the end for this cartridge. I've mentioned that though this is a training round, it's still quite potent, and I guess, it being capable of causing armored planes to be shot down kind of speaks for that fact. But just what are we looking at here? Now, information on this round, it's incredibly scarce, and a lot of what I was able to dig up in reference to this cartridge performance actually came from forums, unfortunately. But it looks like this round features a 110 grain bullet that flies at around 1,300 feet per second. But anyways, I think that is going to do it for this week's Cartridge of the Week episode featuring the M22. Hope you all enjoyed the video as much as I personally enjoyed making it, and I will see y'all next time.